Hey, good day, good day. Hey, thanks for joining me again. I am Glaze Gibbs, and this is my story, this is my life, this is my ministry. I get a lot of DM, I get a lot of question in YouTube, and the question I always get as far as like my affiliation, my mob tie, my mafia ties. Okay, like let's sit back and think about it. Yeah, they got a lot of heavy activity with the mafia, the mob organization in New York City, and you got a lot of heavy activity in Brooklyn. But right now is as far as like my direct mob connection, I didn't have any. Only time I ran into like mob guys, for the most part, was incarcerated, like on Rikers Island, Brooklyn House, when I was doing a Fed beat. But as far as like my direct dealing with them on the street, there was no dealing. You know what I'm saying? And that's just being completely honest. But some of the individuals that I did run into, one guy in particular, and Anthony Gaspipe Casso. Anthony Gaspipe Casso this is him right here. That's Anthony Gaspipe Casso. Here's another picture of him. Okay. And here's another picture of him. Rest in peace. I just learned that he just recently passed away. He just recently died of COVID while incarcerated. And to me, like, dangerous individual. And how I met him, we met, like, how can I say, we was in the feds. I was me, he was him. And we got into a misunderstanding over the phone. Sit back and look at it. You know what I'm saying? Period. Over the phone. And to me, he was who he was. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. And I was who I was. And we got into a beef over the telephone. And what happened was he came to me and he had to use the phone. Okay, no problem. Go ahead. Let me know. Call me when you're done. And one thing led to another. I guess, he went, he used the phone, and when he finished, he gave the phone to somebody else. And me, being young, being wild, and it felt, saying disrespected. And I went to him. I'm like, yo, hold on, wait a minute. What type of, BS is this? You came to me and said you need the phone. I let you go in front of me. Then you turn around and give the phone to somebody else. I'm saying, that's a total violation. So long story short, I just went off. I said, man, I don't care who you are. You know what I'm saying? Gas pipe or not, I be done blow you up. Here it is right now is nothing escalated. He apologized, we squashed it, and we left it as that. And the crazy part about that is, he knew back then that I was into the stock market. And he came back at me and he gave me some good information in the stock market. He gave me some information about this company, DHBT. And the company was like responsible for Bulletproof Vest at the time. And to me, like, I was like diversified. I was incarcerated, I was hustling on the stock market. And what I did was I took some advice from him. And initially, the advice was paying off. The stock, everything he said was going to happen with the stock happened. Like, here it is, the stock was going to go up to this price. Then the stock was going to split. And everything that he said was going to happen, happened. So at the time, I was dealing with this guy, my broker. And what I did was all the other stock and all the other investment I had, I started liquidating. I started selling it. And why? Because I started putting and buying more shares in the DHBT. My broker at the time, like, no, that's not a good idea. But I'm seeing how fast, like, the stock is rising and splitting. So when the stock split, say if the stock is worth $50, okay, and you got one share. When the stock split, now you got two share, at $25 a piece. But when the stock go up, you got more share. So it's like right now, if I had 1,000 share, when that stock split, it went to 2,000 shares. So anyway, right now is my broker was telling me, no, don't do what I was about to do. But me being like, okay, I got inside connection. I got mob connection. This guy's not going to tell me anything wrong because he's into it. And holy behold, I took everything I had and I liquidated. And guess what? Folks, that's a bad idea. Never put all your egg in one basket. Keep diversified. When I tell you, I lost a ton of money behind that move. I lost a ton of money behind that move. Initially start out right, but right now is that sucker wipe me out. Anyway, I'm gonna read something. Okay, here it is. This was in the Toronto Sun. Bloodthirsty mafia underboss Anthony Gaspipe Casso died of COVID-19. One of the underworld's most bloodthirsty enforcer was responsible for dozens of hits had died of COVID-19 behind bars. Anthony Gaspipe Casso, 78 years old, died Tuesday in Arizona after his bid for compassionate release was shot down last week. According to New York Post, the Lucchese crime family underboss had been in felon health for years and was wheelchair bound. He had battled prostate cancer, heart disease, and a slew of other wounds connected to his decade-long smoking habit. Still, the Post report that a federal judge deemed the alien gangster a danger to the community. Casso was indeed a heavy hitter who copped the 14 gangland slaying. He even had NYPD cops Louis Epilado and Stefan Capapetto on a payroll for police intel and hits. Both, cops were sentenced to life in prison and are now deceased. Okay, here it is, the two cops that they're talking about that was on his payroll. Okay, one detective described Casso as a ruthless, homicidal maniac who enjoyed killing. And that estimation was shared by fellow mobster as well. Casso was born in Brooklyn and came from a long line of mobster. By the 1980s, he was underboss in the crime family after working his way through the rank. And he's reportedly left a trail of 30 bodies in his climb to the top. After being on the lam for 2 years, Casso was arrested in 1993 at his mob mistress New Jersey home. And then, I'm saying right now, the Post report that Casso had an encyclopedic knowledge of the mob matter, and the interrogation was extremely colorful with the former boss providing detailed account on mayhem and murder. Okay, sit back and look at it, folks. Here it is right now, where it's like, this is Gaspipe. And what wound up happening? You know what? Like I said right now, Wiz, he been in that life of crime forever in a day. And look what happened. At the end, he died in prison. You know what I'm saying? He died in prison in one of these cold cells. Okay? Here it is right now. What was cool about that? Even now, like I try to say right now, may his soul rest in peace and his spirit be lifted. And like I told you right now, is after our little misunderstanding, we had a great bond. But the difference was, like he was a little guy, a little short guy. Even like I talk about, like 50 Cent, like my man Tiny. But the difference is, he had this little short man. He didn't care. He had this little short man attitude. He didn't care. Like, being around him and watch him in action. Most of the guys that was there around us at the time, incarcerated, guess what? Big guys. He was hitting them upside the head. Like when he got mad, he was actually slapping people. And when you sit back and you look at it, folks, with that short man mentality, that Napoleon complex, come on. It's like, to me, once again, even everybody at times have problems, have angry management problems. This guy was doing all type of stuff, even there. He had people on the payroll, getting a cell phone in jail. He was doing what he wanted to do. Eating what he wanted to eat. And once again, like I told you, I learned a lot from him. Some good things from him in regards to investment strategy. But in the same token, like I said right now, is like, my deepest condolences, to his family. May his soul rest in peace and his spirit be lifted. But that to show you right now is crime doesn't pay. I don't care what your nationality is. I don't care who you used to look up to. The end result, if you do wrong, guess what's going to happen? Chances are you're going to get arrested. Chances are you're going to jail. Chances are right now, it all depends upon how deep and how crazy that crime is, or violent that crime is. Guess what? You're going to go here. You're going to go to jail. And you see what I'm trying to tell people ahead of time? Crime doesn't pay. Okay? Crime doesn't pay. I don't care who you are. Like right now, we all grew up in Brooklyn. What was in the air? What was in the water? I'm talking about, I'm black, he's Italian. It didn't make no difference. We both went down the wrong road. We both fell in love with the street. We both had that criminal mentality, all for the wrong reason. And what I'm trying to get people to understand, I don't care what anybody say, man. There's no shortcut in life. If you do shortcut, you do illegal activity, sooner or later, it's going to come back and bite you in the rear end. And to me, I can honestly say, being a grown man and admitting to all the things that I have done and admitting to the fact that I once was a problem, now I'm seeking to be part of the solution, guess what? I got my life together. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to share my story. I'm trying to share my ministry to get people to understand crime doesn't pay. To get people to understand it's easy to do the wrong things, hard to do the right thing. But guess what? If you do the right thing, you don't have to worry about dying in jail. You don't have to worry about dying in prison. Come on. This man was 78 years old. He died in jail. And right now is, guess what? He didn't have the time to basically spend that time with his family. His family didn't have that time to, in his dying days, they wasn't there. There was no support there. You incarcerated. You suffering. They suffering. For what? So once again, listen, man, here it is. Get my story. Get my book, The Brian Glaze Gibbs Story. You see that right there? Email me. Get your signed copy. A true story of change, redemption. A true story. If I can change, anybody can change. Email me, Brian, Brian Gibbs, Gibbs 1201 @yahoo.com. Listen, I tell you the good, I tell you the bad, I tell you ugly for a reason. Because once again, listen, don't be like anybody else. Don't be like Gaspipe. Like I told you right now, die in jail. And right now is, trust me, like he changed, but it's too late. Right now is, guess what? Don't be like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be better than that. You have to get out there and do it right the first time, and don't even get caught up in that negative and nonsense, because at the end, it's going to bite you in the rear end. And you know what? You're going to have a lifetime, you know what I'm saying, to pay and deal with that consequences. Do critical thinking for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Ask yourself the quality question. Before I commit this crime, before I do something illegal, is it going to bring me and my family pain, or is it going to bring us pleasure? If it's going to bring you pain, you know not to do it. If it's going to bring you pleasure and reward, guess what? The answer is easy. Brian Glaze Gibbs, signing off. Crime doesn't pay.